These TikTok dentists are ruining people's lives, but for some reason, that's not stopping people from lining up down the block and just letting these people drill on their teeth. Because, hey, I guess we have a massive common sense issue going on in this country, because 4 years ago on TikTok, the only dental advice we saw were those teenagers filing away their teeth.
I'm gonna file my teeth down with a nail file because they are not perfect.
I guess that was for the aesthetic look. We did actually cover this about 1 billion years ago, as I'm now a dinosaur in the commentary space. But back then, at least the general consensus on TikTok was never take any dental advice from anyone on that platform. I guess at that time, the only people doing it were teenagers who didn't know better. But unfortunately, only 4 years later, we have this wave of TikTok veneer techs, which isn't even a real term, but they're literally not dentists. They gain followings on TikTok, shilling absolute garbage veneer procedures for anywhere from $1,000 to $8,000. And while that sounds like a lot of money, if you've ever gotten real veneers, especially here in the US, you would know that sounds a little bit too good to be true. And you would be right to think so, because multiple clients of these TikTok veneer techs have almost either passed away due to these procedures or completely lost their teeth. And this has completely altered their lives as they know it. I previously made a video on this topic where we covered the influencer by name of Winter, who had her jaw movement completely destroyed by one of these veneer techs. And the plot has thickened as a lot more stories are coming out about other people's experiences with these veneer techs. Inside Edition recently ran a story on a woman who had her entire life ruined by a veneer tech. And we got to check that out because it is just wild.
This woman says a so-called veneer technician offered an amazing deal for the smile of her dreams.
I was gullible at the time. I was excited.
She says for $3,500, this woman, known online as the Veneer Fairy, performed the procedure. She permanently glued veneer caps over her existing teeth.
Come see the Veneer Fairy. Yeah, teeth glistening. Who did that? Ooh.
But just 1 hour later,
I was crying, in tears. My mouth was on fire. It felt like 1,000 ants.
1 single hour is how long they lasted. Here's a screenshot of her deleted page, and as you can see, her pricing is on the bottom left there. $1,500 sounds cheap for veneers until you realize they'll last for an hour. Yikes. But are you getting constant spam calls? Well, if so, you might have a lot of unwanted information about yourself on the internet, and to get rid of that, you need to combat data brokers. We've all signed up to something with our number, and then suddenly you're being spammed by all sorts of telemarketers and scammers, because data brokers, they essentially just take your information from various sites and they sell them to the highest bidder. A massive problem with this, though, is there's way too many of these sites, and you're going to have to email every single one a takedown request for your information. And before you know it, you'll be spending more time doing this than most part-time jobs. But that's where today's sponsor, Incogni, comes in, because they manage all that for you, and they'll scan the internet for your information and automatically send takedown requests. And they'll keep checking to make sure that you don't get put back into the system. I've been now using Incogni for about 10 months now, and it's already had 256 data collectors take my information down. And another wild stat is it's also saved me over 192 hours of my time if I wanted to manually process all those requests. So I'm happy there's at least a solution to this massive problem. So if you're dealing with these same issues, you can use my code Atozy for 60% off your first year. For me, the service has already been a massive win because the spam calls I used to get multiple times a day have vanished. That's also sadly just the tip of the iceberg for what data collectors collect. The crazier stuff would be your shopping habits, address, social security number, and employment history. So I'm grateful Incogni wanted to support the channel and allow me to promote a product that I personally use and enjoy. So if you think Incogni can help, you can go to incogni.com/Atozy by clicking the link right down below to start taking your personal data off the market. Without further ado, let's continue the video.
She says the Veneer Fairy tried to pull out the veneers, but they wouldn't budge. So the patient, Special Overton, says she took matters into her own hands.
I knew it wasn't something that I was going to keep in my mouth. I took my hand and I yanked them as hard as I could. I just closed my eyes and I proud them out. I didn't know if I pulled my teeth out, but I know I wanted some type of relief.
Go to a hospital or a real dentist. Yanking your teeth out of your mouth? What? Hold up. Okay, let me rephrase my previous statement. $1,500 sounds cheap until you realize they'll be so painful that you will physically rip your teeth out within an hour of having them. How are these people not in jail? But after doing a lot of research on this topic, I'm seeing a lot of people say a lot of these veneer techs are actually getting these veneer inserts off of Temu. So I did some searching around on Temu and I sure did find some man-made horrors. The alarming thing is 48,000 of these sets have been sold for under $20. So now it's starting to make a little bit more sense how these veneer techs can charge so low but still make so much. So I mean, hey, if you have zero regard for human life and you don't mind potentially going to prison, being a veneer tech seems to be a pretty profitable venture. That's a joke, by the way. Please never do this to someone. I don't care how stupid the customer is. Don't enable their stupidity for profit.
We found unlicensed operators advertising their services across the USA.
You want to do a molding, right?
Jay Colombo of Fairfield, New Jersey, sure looks like a dentist. Online, he calls himself the Dental Daddy.
The Dental Daddy? Really? No way people let the TikTok Dental Daddy work on their teeth. This is straight up Darwinism. Remember the viral question of, oh, would you spend a night in the forest with some dude or a grizzly bear? And then a shocking amount of women were like, the grizzly bear. I feel like this is the dental equivalent to that question. Would you rather have Dr. Jones work on your teeth or the TikTok Dental Daddy? Gee, I don't know. And I'm comparing these two questions because, let's be real, I don't think it's the guys who are lining up around the block to see the TikTok Dental Daddy. I want a boring dentist. A dentist who is obsessed with teeth, not TikTok aesthetics. Speaking of which, I had the most boring experience at the dentist last time I was there because throughout the entire session of him cleaning my teeth, which was like 45 minutes, he was shilling me some, I guess like wireless toothbrush that kind of tracks where I've brushed within my mouth. And it was kind of like a 45-minute unskippable ad, which I couldn't skip or interject in because, you know, I was just laying there gaping with my mouth open. So it's not like I could change the conversation. I just had to sit there and listen to him because, you know, you can't really respond. So that was definitely an interesting experience. At least my Incogni ad was less than 90 seconds and you can skip it. That's where today's sponsor, Incogni, comes in because they manage all that for you. But I much rather prefer that experience than the TikTok Dental Daddy experience. Whatever that is. I'm not trying to end up like that winter girl from my last video on the topic with a destroyed jaw.
But don't be fooled by that charm.
Let me see your teeth. Do you have a nice one?
Wearing hidden cameras, Inside Edition producers Katie Taylor and Megan Lupo met with him in this office.
Does it hurt? No, it's painless procedure.
The price?
You said it was $6,000?
It's a sale. Oh, you guys want to do this today?
No thank you.
It's a sale? Dude's the worst salesman ever. Also, why is it so dark in there? $6,000 though. That's more than the other lady, but still way less than the US average of about $20,000.
We caught up with him outside his office. Are you performing illegal veneer procedures here?
Excuse me, no.
Why did you U-turn then, bud? Like, dude is running like he had something to hide. I couldn't find the Dental Daddy on TikTok or Instagram, but I did find Princess Cuts, who is also featured on this Inside Edition video. And this woman, she's just completely making a joke out of all this. POV, you're about to win the veneer tech competition and I walk in. Being a veneer tech isn't a real thing. These people are just gaslighting people who don't know better on TikTok.
Yeah, on paper, they're a better team. Right. They have all the assets and resources that we don't. But let us get on the line, boy, and see if that factors in. I guarantee you it won't. Wow.
You should be getting your dental license instead of making these TikToks. This is just so bad. From what I can tell, she's the first self-aware person doing this. Most of the others just conveniently leave out the fact that there aren't a real dentist. But she's at least very forward about it. And her prices are extremely low, scary low, as low or actually lower than the other veneer tech who ruined that woman's life. If you pick your dentist off of a TikTok dancing video, you're in for a world of pain. And it seems like this woman is doing pop-up shops all around America, which might help her fly under the radar for longer, or I guess get away with it for a little bit longer. The only problem is she's so public with what she's doing on TikTok. So eventually, law enforcement are going to catch up, you would hope, right? And thankfully, they are cracking down on this activity. It's just taking its sweet time. But it also seems like the government is just playing one big game of whack-a-mole with these people, as CBS News Chicago ran a story on another veneer tech where one of the victims, Monica Bailey here, went to this veneer tech without realizing she wasn't a dentist or braces. And as if that's not bad enough, here's the massive kicker.
An arrest. Davis knows all about that. Apparently, the veneer experts had also been operating at this Las Vegas strip mall, and Davis got picked up for illegally practicing dentistry without a Nevada dental license. You see that mugshot, and what goes through your mind?
I couldn't believe it.
Then she looked at a calendar. Court documents show Davis was released from police custody in Nevada on January 31st. It was only 9 days later when Bailey says she and her daughter got braces from the unlicensed dentist.
So in 9 days, she went to her other location in Chicago and just continued business as usual. And this one's especially bad because the victim didn't know the person working on her teeth wasn't an actual dentist and was literally just arrested or serving time for this 9 days prior. It doesn't get too much worse than that. But here they had a real dentist look at the situation.
Bailey also got bad news from Dr. Zalay.
They look like real braces, but they don't connect to anything in the back, and so there's no way to move the teeth.
Meaning the braces aren't fixing anything.
Thankfully, she didn't have to rip out her teeth, but still, she essentially got some useless braces and were scammed out of the money thinking they were real braces. This is just a terrible trend, and I hope it ends soon, but I don't think we're gonna be that lucky. And I guess this is just one of those new age scams, so please be aware of who gets to work on your teeth, and remember, you can always look up and verify licenses if there's any doubt. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.